This is clearly the old one because the tag is yellowing.
Yeah.
I will say right off the bat, this is tumbled leather, yes?
Bit more tumbled than the new pair.
I like tumbled more. What's up, everybody? It's Joe La Puma. You were watching the Complex Sneaker Show. As always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts, my two friends. First off, to my right, Mr. Matt Welty.
Back from Vegas.
Yes, we are here. We are here. Are we recovered yet? We'll see. To my left, looking dapper, kind of looking like he's showing up for a job interview.
You think I need to?
I don't know. Hold on.
Am I on thin ice?
Yeah, exactly. Like Mr. Brendan Dunne.
Did you make some connections at ComplexCon?
I was linking a building.
I'm sure.
I was politicking. You know, I love working the room.
Yes.
I love being mixy. I lit some money on fire. We lost. We're down.
Down tremendous.
Not
tremendous.
No, but we blew some money at the roulette.
Yeah, you got a little business casual. He kind of looks like.
Go ahead.
Looks like a Elliot Hill fit, maybe, right? Except you're in Asics.
Does it?
I mean, a little. Lot to get to today. Yep. We're back from Vegas. Gonna talk some sneakers that were on the ComplexCon floor. What else are we going to talk about?
I want to talk about the Black Cement Jordan 3s coming out this weekend, do a little bit of retro comparison.
You may do a 2018, 2024 comparison?
Yes, side by side, see how they look. Welty?
Some stuff on Complex Sneaker of the Year panel, maybe how this shoe caused a whole bunch of conversation.
Yes, the Yachty Air Force One, the Concrete Boys joints. I'm happy to be back. Happy ComplexCon is back, but also happy we're back from ComplexCon. We're going to be happy to be back in Vegas next year. Buy your tickets now.
Yes.
ComplexCon.
Daniel Arsham already announced.
Right, and the flyer says 3025, right?
That I was a little...
If I'm still at Complex at 3025 and they got my
still
disconnected brain hooked up to an AI pumping out sneaker blogs, somebody pull the plug. Please take this message, pull the plug.
If I'm asking people what they're feeling, what they're not in 3025, just, you know what? End it.
Or even 2035.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
Like, okay.
Enough. Well, we are back from ComplexCon. It was a good weekend. A lot of new shoes, I would say.
Big sneaker releases.
Yes.
Let's just say this. ComplexCon, the energy has been missing for the past couple years in terms of big sneaker releases. I feel like we got back there this year, thanks in large part to Nike. Nike had a few booths that was really great. Even ASICS. Did you guys go through the hidden?
I didn't get a chance, but that booth I heard was awesome.
Super cool booth. Hidden NY ASICS Gel Venture 6 Shield. Please say the Shield. I thought that was one of the better shoes of the weekend. Also, a lot of people were giving me feedback over the weekend that we should have put the hidden ASICS NYC
I got that three times. I got that 3 times, and one in like a run-up fashion.
Somebody felt like they needed to deliver that message to you.
No, when that shoe had came out earlier at the top of the year, there were a few tweets out there where people saying, this is the shoe of the year, and I said, no, it's not even on the list.
Why?
It's just not.
That's why it's not, because you said it's not?
No, it's okay. I don't know.
Doesn't feel special.
You just think in the pantheon of the ASICS that release?
Yeah, and here's the thing that I just like.
And I'm sorry, again, we're gonna have a million sneaker of the year discussions.
Here's the thing that I always feel like people should take way more into account.
Your opinion?
No, not my opinion at all. This really isn't my opinion at all. Oh. Just because something is your favorite sneaker of the year does not automatically qualify it for the discussion of sneakers of the year. There's plenty of shoes that were my favorite sneakers of the year. And I'm cognizant enough to be like, you know what? Just because I loved it doesn't mean that it's one of the 10 most important.
Try and look beyond your bias.
Would it have killed us to put us under on our top 10? That's how I feel. But I get what you're saying. But I did. It's funny you say that. I did get 3. And I think Noah even was like, what happened with the hidden ASICS? I think that's a big NCB shoe. Big NCB first week in Complex shoe.
Yeah.
He's back.
But the one thing I would say is that the shoes that dropped, they were all standout shoes.
Well,
J-Tips, Kids of Immigrant.
I have the Kids of Immigrant Thunder Maxes here.
Yes.
Well, I think one of the things about it, and I was talking to someone about it this morning, about just the releases at ComplexCon in general, which felt good, is that there were a few shoes that dropped. Like J-Tips, you could go up and buy the shoes.
Awesome build out.
Trinidad James, you could go up and buy the shoes. But for the Nike stuff that was going to cause, if, say, there was 300 pairs of the Kids of Immigrant Sunders,
Yeah, just making up a number.
yeah, there would have been a line
Yes.
wrapped around the booth. But the fact that
A lot of people.
a lot of them
day
were all
two.
raffles or chances to win a shoe,
awesome.
Yeah.
and everyone got a chance to play, it felt a little more fair in some extent, and people didn't really seem as perturbed
Interesting.
that things sold out. There weren't riots, you know.
And I will say, usually I feel like they do hold back pairs for the second day,
Mhm.
but a lot of people wanted them the second day.
Kids of Immigrants,
Yes,
Thundermax.
yes. Shouts to Daniel. He did a great job.
Great shoe.
I think this is an awesome shoe.
Do you think that? So, do you like this colorway better?
That
than
one's, to me, that one's infinitely better than the other one.
In-
Purple is the
Infinitely.
one. I'm not going to say infinitely, but the purple is the one.
The orange one doesn't do anything for me.
What does this remind you of, real quick?
I have no idea.
A different brand.
You did this to me the other
different
day.
brand,
Oh,
but
I couldn't. I didn't get it
Gel
either.
Light 3.
1,000%.
He's covering up. Oh yes, the vents on the toe do look like Asics Gel Light 3.
I'm wearing them this week. And I'm like, I haven't owned this shoe before, but
Looking down, it
why
felt
does
familiar.
this look so familiar? And
Yeah.
why have I had this on my feet? This part,
I
not the
thought you
shoe.
were reenacting the Cove photo
And I'm like,
shoot.
oh.
Wow, put the photo of Joe, and this is the part where we tell you turn the video on so you can
Ugh.
see the throwback photo of JLP in
Yes.
the Cove.
That photo shoot, I believe I took the Goodwood Jesus piece off and just wore the Goodwood beads. So we'll check it. But
Pro move.
I'm thinking to myself, I've worn tons of these shoes. It's the Gel Light 3. But I am so happy. And when I was going through the booth with
Mhm.
Ken Carson, live sneaker shopping, that's dropping soon. Ken was talking about the Sunders, and they had these like drawings and the samples of like original
Yeah, I saw
Sunders.
that.
Yeah.
And just seeing those from back in the day to this, and the Sunder having a moment. And the other thing is the GRs, which I love. You know, we've talked about
Yeah,
it, that they're
yeah.
all over the office and you see a lot of people in them. But this shoe, we talk about the hidden Asics. This shoe, a lot of people were like, oh, so this is going to be on the top 10. And it was close. We're not going to get fully into the list, but this was super close. And just looking at this
Yeah.
in the screen, I loved it. I may have
Well-
to pick up I may have to pick up 2 pairs.
We had briefly brought it up on the panel where
Yeah.
it was like, hey, we had obviously made the list before the show happened, and it was just like, even though we're in Vegas, it was hard to gamble and say this is definitely one of the top.
It was easy to gamble. I don't know about you,
No.
buddy.
No, but to be like, hey, take the risk of putting a shoe on the list that hadn't even come out yet.
Yeah.
So
Also, big Bayshore, New York shoe for me.
hey, I
The
didn't.
Thundermax
I did
you know
not.
that specifically.
Reminds you.
That's listen.
I did
Dating
not
sim
you may
Staten
realize.
Island.
you may catch me Thanksgiving Eve at Aji in those, and people go, "Wow, what are those?" This is like, I love that.
Oh, you didn't
It
really
just
try
sticks
hard,
out.
right?
Huh?
Something light. You didn't try hard this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I forgot what the reference was.
Keeping it basic? No, I'm not. I may have to bring
But
that out.
The thing I didn't realize about this shoe, looking at it for the first time in person, is the airbag having the glitter
Yeah.
Mm.
effect on it, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, you would have known that had you read. I have to plug this.
Oh, yes.
My
Yep, your
story
piece.
about the Kids of Immigrants. Sundermax breaks it down in detail. Joe, I want to say a couple notes on the Sundermax. How have you felt comfort-wise with the sneaker on foot? Because I was talking to our friend Trinidad James at his booth at ComplexCon this past weekend, and he said that the Sunder was actually pretty painful for him, and he had to like go to a podiatrist.
I've heard that multiple times this weekend, that the reason why they wouldn't put that shoe on the list is because they don't like wearing Sunders.
Very interesting, because I think it's a little tough to get on, but couldn't have been more
I think
comfortable.
PJ Tucker maybe said that as
I will.
well.
I will
Couldn't have
mention
been more
this.
comfortable for me. Also, 19,000 steps in these. I think it was Saturday. No plantar fasciitis flare.
Okay. Okay. And I will say this.
That's just a case study.
The retro for the Sundermax is built on a women's last. What's cool when the shoes are tailored in that specific way, and I think that a women's team at Nike made the shoe happen. So
Mhm.
if people are, or if men are feeling like the shoe doesn't fit quite right, that
shouldn't
may
then, 'cause
be a reason why.
That mean if all history serves right, that means that the shoe would actually be a narrower width than what a men's last is
The
built
one
on.
that
Right.
makes
So it
her-
just might be a little tighter and
Yeah.
tougher to put your foot in there,
The
right?
only shoe that's hurt me recently for some reason, maybe I
Hurt you
got the wrong
physically.
size.
We've all been hurt by sneakers emotionally.
I could say that again. Sunset TN. I think maybe are too narrow for me.
Yeah.
Because also it's funny that you brought up a cold wall. This may be the one.
I've been wearing those a lot.
Those are my beaters at this point because
Yeah.
I've worn them so much.
Okay. And you're trying to get the black off of there. Can
Yes.
we go back to the Kids of Immigrants booth real quick
Yes.
at ComplexCon?
Yes.
I love this rollout. Undefeated popped out there to give away 12 pairs as an early official leak of their Spirit On collaboration, which they haven't said anything about when it's releasing. We can tell you it's going to be here top half of 2025 is the schedule right now. I'm excited about Spirit On Retro in general. The OG white and red colorway is coming toward the end of December. I'm going to buy those for sure.
Big Ronnie Fogg shoe.
But the undefeated one doesn't do much for
I
me.
like the undefeated one.
See,
You
we
do?
were
That's cool.
talking about it before we'd seen it, and I was like, you need white in a Spirit On to me to make it really hard and to anchor the shoe. And I'm actually a little relieved that I don't love the undefeated one, because then I feel like I don't have to spend the money. You know, like I could spend the money on the OG Spirit On, and that's it.
Before we go further, can we talk about the Stash 95?
But we could talk all day about Stash
Stash
95.
Air Max 95s. Also, I know I thanked you already. I want to thank you publicly. He alley-ooped me the Air Max 95. I think last week before we went to Vegas, he was like, I'm going to wear the Stash Air Max 95s. And I was like, damn, that's awesome, blah, blah, blah. And you fully alley-ooped me. You did the Dwayne Wade to LeBron.
No, but
You
Stash
did.
alley-ooped you. Stash set you up
You
with the shoes.
really-
And
listen,
Thomas
Stash-
helped us out as
Stash-
well.
Stash-
Let's not forget Thomas. Everybody
Yes.
in the booth holding
Also,
us down.
thank you guys so much. Made my whole weekend.
Mhm.
Made my whole weekend. You flexed in the Air Force Ones, but another thing about those Stash Air Max 95 that was refreshing, all the comments, not one
Negative.
negative.
Wow, I need
Not
to wear
one,
that shoe.
Not
if this
one.
is
They look-
Oh, the original.
Yeah.
Not one.
They
Look at the comments.
they
Did you
look
pull the patch
better-
off the tongue?
No, I
They
haven't.
looked
yet.
a lot
See?
better
I'm getting
than
multiple pairs of those. I'll tell you because
All
I
right.
put them straight to feet. Wore them. I think I got a little thing on the toe box. I'm getting another pair for sure, but it was very refreshing to see not one, the original, this, that. People just love them. Go get them. What do we have a date?
We can't say just yet. They'll be here before the end of the year.
But I thought seeing them on foot in person,
Yeah.
that they look much better than I had seen, like the photos online. I thought the photos online were awful, but just I was hesitant about, the update to the
Mhm.
shoe, but it looks like brighter. And I still have to admit that was probably one of my biggest regrets, because I remember me and Joe were you guys were walking around before the show had started.
Yeah.
That's where you had run into Stash, and I was walking around with Joe, and I'm like, I just got off the plane, and I'm like, I need to go back to the hotel and change before we had like a big meeting or something
Yeah.
like that. And
Hectic
then
weekend, a lot going on.
yeah, and then that's when you guys all ran into Stash, and I was like,
It
Yeah.
was awesome. I can't thank Stash enough. Had a great moment with him. I will say, hand up,
What
I
happened?
did a tweet and delete. You know why?
What happened? Oh, you
Just in case.
You
I thought
took
it
a
looked.
photo of the
I-
sneakers
I-
that didn't look good
I
enough,
thought
and
it-
you
no,
were
no,
worried
I
that you were
thought-
going to
I-
get dragged on X
Well-
once again.
Yeah, I thought it looked. I thought this was good, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm not. I think this looks good, but I'm not dealing with that again.
Yeah,
So,
you got absolutely fried last time. We
Exactly.
can't risk that again.
other,
especially not with
other
our friend
sneakers at
Stash.
ComplexCon, you ran into Westside Gunn
Yes.
wearing his Fly God Saucony samples.
Yeah, I was trying to present that the right way when I posted about it on social media, and he was walking through the show floor and a lot of people were following him, and it was hectic, and our boy Mayhem Loren was in there. Shout out to him.
I saw him,
Always a pleasure.
Good dude.
Stand-up gentleman. But Westside Gunn was telling me basically that this is a super early version and they're testing out colors and materials and something along those lines. So don't be surprised if the final Saucony
changes.
Fly God looks significantly different from those. Don't necessarily expect those to reflect what will happen on the retail version.
That was just one of my biggest, not disappointments of the weekend, but the show was just so big
Yeah, it
this
was.
year compared
big.
to previous ones.
The space on the floor.
Yeah, and felt like there was way more boosts, right? And then
Mhm.
I felt like in the past it was way easier just because there wasn't as the space felt more open.
Yeah.
To kind of spot people
Yeah.
on the floor, but if it was much easier to not run into someone
Yeah.
this week, but there was just so much going on, where I'm like, oh damn, I didn't get a chance to run into Westside Gunn. But
Did you guys spend any time at the Nike Air Max 1000 booth? You know this is a big Brendan Dunne shoe.
Didn't get a chance.
I didn't get a chance to, but I saw the videos of people hitting
They had a slot machine
yeah.
type thing in the
And I
booth.
thought they looked good on you, and I thought they looked good on.
Do you
Noah
like
as
that
well.
shoe,
He
Brendan?
gave
So-
a review.
I know, but
yeah, I mean, I'm
he said he-
excited about this shoe. No, what did
I loved what he said. Something like, I'm paraphrasing, I like the technology more than the shoe.
Yeah,
The
it doesn't
manufacturing
feel.
more
Yeah,
than the shoe?
exactly.
Yeah.
What I kind of came away with was that it feels like maybe a revolution in manufacturing, if not comfort. Wearing the shoe, it doesn't. People kept asking me, "How do those feel on foot? How do you like them?" And it feels fine, but it didn't feel like something that I've never felt before. The shoe's kind of hard to get on because the material, the 3D printed material, is a little bit grainy, and so there's a lot of friction, and just getting your sock in there is quite tough.
Well, that's how it was when the other week when I had worn those 3D printed
Yeah.
shoes. That shoe, I mean, it's comfortable and it's super light, but it's almost impossible to get on your foot.
Yeah, and I've been waiting for brands to go all in on 3D printing, so this is cool to me. But also, I'm struggling with how much credit Nike really deserves, because we've been promised 3D printed shoes for years now, and we're just now getting it. And again, I'm happy it's happening, but also they weren't even able to do it themselves. They needed the help of Zellerfeld, which is a brand I've been supportive of, and a brand that's all about 3D printed shoes. So they did have this outside help. I don't know if that's a mark against the shoe or not. And also, I said this when I did a little on-feet review for Instagram, but I don't really know what the airbag is doing in the shoe, which is the Nike component. But if you don't have the airbag, then it just looks like another Zellerfeld shoe. So I understand why you need the Nike tech in there, but I wasn't certain that it was adding that much. Also, they weren't that breathable. This sounds like a negative review, but again, I'm happy about the shoe, and I'm excited to have
Will
a
you
pair.
wear it again?
I will wear it again.
Okay.
Yeah. I do think it was a little disappointing though for people who just went in and look, let's say it like I have the privilege of getting the shoe there in person, but for people who went in and did the actual experience, there was a jackpot style thing, which was a cool activation. And if you win a pair, they're going to send you a free pair, but they're going to send it to you in 6 months. And I'm like, isn't the point, or isn't one of the cool advantages of doing a 3D printed shoe is you can make it tomorrow? Like, why, if anything, shouldn't a 3D printed shoe be available for you right away? So another thing, sorry, these are the nerdy type of shoes that I love, but like, I did also feel like a bit of an idiot, and like Welty was right all along, where like thinking about this shoe, which is a real shoe you can put on your foot, versus the AIR stuff that Nike was hyping up, 3D printed prototypes from April. You remember when I was struggling to try and paraphrase, or I don't know, maybe I drank the Nike Kool-Aid too much, but back then they showed us all these insane futuristic alien designs.
You were in Paris, you know.
But they don't really transfer to like wearable like things that have function on
versus the real shoe, which I think is still a cool looking shoe, but is nowhere near as boundary pushing or awe-inspiring as the make-believe imaginary stiff 3D printed prototypes that they did in Paris as a hype move.
One shoe that people seem pretty hyped on that maybe just not my cup of tea were the Satoshi Vans.
Yeah, a lot of people were running right to those when they got in for VIP. I don't get it.
As I was leaving, I had ran into 2J's, and he was asking us what, our
Mr. Las Vegas himself.
Asking us what our sneakers of the year were, what our favorite things were at the event, and I think he had told me that the Satoshi was to him the best shoe at ComplexCon.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get me super excited about a pair of Vans, and that brand is something that I don't totally understand. So it's just a tough sell for me. Are those flipping? Do we know?
It's just a little too like Ed Hardy looking for me.
Yeah, I'm not ready to go full Ed Hardy just yet.
What an error that was.
Other stuff at ComplexCon sneaker related, our friends Clot had showed up, and they had a booth where you rolled the dice to win a pair of their Gazelles. They had a pair that was beaded.
They had the full beaded friends and family ones. You could win those if you had the right roll of the dice.
I was talking to our friend Pat, who works at
Pat.
Pat, who works at Clot, and he had mentioned, he's like, these were friends and family, not just because we wanted to make them limited, but because the shoes being beaded, you can't actually manufacture that many pairs for the public. It's just too much of like a long process.
Yeah, that was a cool activation, but I wish Adidas would have showed up more. There was such a huge Nike presence, and we're here celebrating AE1 as the sneaker of the year.
They showed up on that billboard as soon as it was crowned. But they really.
How insane was
that moment?
Was the Travis line though? That's like, I feel like a lot of people are talking
and
about.
the Nike soccer tournament, the references, the old campaign, and Steve Nash was playing soccer at ComplexCon. I think Steve Nash was in the airport when I came back yesterday, but walked right by him. Yeah. I mean, Travis Scott's a Mad Max style arrival to ComplexCon.
That was awesome.
Triple H.
That was awesome. The Triple H moment at the show. Travis announcing WWE and Travis announcing he'll be there on the first Raw of the Netflix era. This is what I will say as an aside. Complex.
I hope it's an aside if it's wrestling related.
Complex, Triple H, Travis clashing all under the ComplexCon roof. This is why we do it, baby. This is why we do it. This is why I'm here.
That's the
this
is
why
right
I'm here 10 hours after I landed bright and early. That's worlds colliding.
Yeah.
Did you walk out to Stone Cold's music?
No, but I
stage?
really should have. I should have spent more time at the WWE booth. Shouts to Montez Ford and Bianca Belair. We saw them. Just the WWE presence was
Jey Uso.
I didn't get to
Cody
see
Rhodes
him.
was there.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes. Yep.
Again, I don't know who
I
these
miss
people are,
CM
but
Punk. I miss CM Punk.
How did you miss
I
CM
know,
Punk of
I
all
know.
people?
Hand up. That's a big regret
that's
of mine.
Joe's Slack avatar is CM
Yeah.
Punk, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
You had Triple H on Sneaker Shopping,
Yes.
right? I can't remember not because I don't remember every Sneaker Shopping episode, but just the wrestlers all blend together. Is there any chance now or maybe that weekend that you had asked him if you could get Travis on Sneaker Shopping since the connection is there? You're basically 1 degree away from Travis right now.
Isn't it crazy that
It's
though
tough,
that
but
you had
it's
asked Triple H on Sneaker Shopping
About
about
Travis.
Travis and how big he is for the brand?
Yeah, I low-key thought on the plane yesterday, maybe we should have resurfaced that clip but
You set the moment up.
Other sneakers
Waiting
at
for my
ComplexCon?
The Yachty Nike Air Force
so
One.
those didn't release though.
This
No.
was at Yachty's booth.
No, they were doing. You could win
Break
the
the
shoes.
brick?
It was a giveaway, but they didn't have very many pairs on deck.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool activation with the cement truck, and
Yeah.
you could break bricks open, win a couple different Concrete Boys Nike related
Yes.
prizes, some apparel stuff. There was a long line there all weekend,
Yeah.
and that was of course a controversial shoe popped up in the panel. We got to do it. We got to do a recap of the panel. I think the Sneaker of the Year panel is going to go live on our YouTube as a full episode
Yeah.
of this podcast.
Yeah, so
more
we
or
could
less.
talk about obviously the clips that went viral and the controversy which happened at the Sneaker of the Year panel, but the list we're going
Yeah.
to not do yet.
Yeah.
So a little early for that.
Also, one thing I want to say, because I was thinking about Clark this weekend as we were on the panel, and
Rest
I
in
was
peace.
thinking back to the last episode of this podcast we did where we talked about our friend DJ Clark Kent after his passing, and we reflected a lot in that episode on his character
Mhm.
and what he meant to us as people or different communities as a person and just who he was. But in all that, which I think was the right thing to do, I feel like we kind of glossed over what he did in sneakers or the
Yes.
sneakers he's designed, which is like how a lot of
pack.
the Air Max one I think is my
Yeah.
favorite one too. Just
Air Trainer 1, Air Force 1,
I mean,
Copper
LeBron,
foams.
Yeah.
LeBron's.
So my favorite I wore on the Sneaker of the Year panel, which programming note, which I announced, it's going to be known as the DJ Clark Kent Sneaker
Yep.
of the Year panel.
Awesome
or the
tribute.
James Dean, LeBron 8s. Those
Awesome
were my
shoe.
favorite shoes that he's done.
Also, just like Clark Kent's influence through a channel like 21 Mercer and
Yes.
setting off the whole bespoke era along with
Yes.
the other ATF guys like Mayer and just the way that influenced me as a young person wanting to have the coolest, most exclusive shoes, or that I could design a pair of Air Force Ones on my own
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that. Just
The list Air Force 1s.
of course,
Yes.
of course.
Scars Pizza, Air
Yes.
Force 1s. Got that white Air Force 1s.
Quick Strike Adidas made
Yes.
in collaboration
Yes.
with Adidas, and
Yes.
then Russ
Him and
Bankson,
Russ,
a former
yeah.
coworker of all of ours. I remember
Yes.
it was important for me to buy those sneakers at retail just to support both those guys
For
because I
sure.
thought it was so cool that they did it like that, had a show, got a sneaker, put their logo on it. Just an awesome moment.
Absolutely.
Okay, the panel as a whole was back and forth. We gotta address
Yeah.
Yeah, this.
the
Well,
crazy moment
Before we get to that, what I loved about the panel, different than most years,
was us being on it.
besides you guys, the crowd engagement.
Mm.
And I think the crowd engagement is going to lead to what we're going to talk about. I loved that it felt, usually, I think I even made a joke at the beginning, like, oh, we have our first heckler because someone was yelling something out.
Mm.
And it really added, I loved the back and forth.
Mhm.
I loved that the 3 Sneaky Leak women were in the front row.
Chiming in, yes.
And when I tell you front row, Elena had the Jumpman earrings,
Yes.
and they were going back and forth with us,
Keeping
like
us honest, yeah.
Yes, and I love the crowd engagement, and I think that was like the real
Yep.
takeaway of this panel.
Mhm.
And then, of course, we get to the moment what everyone's talking about: our friend Bima
Mhm.
Yep.
and Yachty, and Bima. Okay, keeps
No,
holding
no,
up
I'm
the
just-
shoes.
I'm just
Yes.
It
like-
looks like a troll moment when
And
you
I'm
hold up the
not
shoe
trolling,
like that.
No, I'm just
And
for reference.
just for like, it came up where Yachty is basically talking about someone took shots at him.
We're talking
or
about
critiqued-
Yachty's Air Force One.
Yes, and
I
and
didn't
made
even
a
know
video.
who you were talking about. I didn't know who he was talking about.
I
thought-
knew right away.
I thought it was
How
just
did you didn't know?
no. I thought he had meant that someone
And then
in
someone
the
pointed
comments
out.
was talking crap.
Someone pointed out that Bima was in the crowd.
Right. So Yachty's breaking this down. Someone's talking about my shoes. Some anonymous hater online is the way he kind of depicted it, saying that they're in a room somewhere talking about his sneaker and they don't know him at all. And then we realize that he's talking about Bima, a person who we've had on this show, a person who's been in the industry, who's worked at a few different brands and now is making his own content
Mhm.
independently. And often this content is, being critical of things happening in the collaboration space specifically. So Yachty's going on and we're telling Yachty, this person you're talking about, Bima, is not only a person we know, but a person who's in this room right now.
And Bima stands up, and then I stood up. And I said, yeah, Bima's been talking spicy. It was part of that crowd engagement moment where people were clapping.
Yeah.
And the crowd was like going crazy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, this is another crowd engaged moment that the panel has been doing for like, what? It was probably, 35, 40 minutes in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then
it went off the rails.
And then it went
felt
off
like
the
it
rails.
was like
it went off the rails, in my opinion, because of Yachty. Because I think that Yachty overreacted. I don't think that Bima deserved that.
I agree that he went too far. I think it's like I'm like trying to compartmentalize the whole thing in my head since it happened. It's like I like the shoe. I think we've talked about it beforehand. It's like some people can say, "Hey, it's plain." I think it's a good throwback to
Rockefeller Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
That whole
And I
label
know-
of rap crews getting Air Force Ones that look relatively like that.
And I know there's criticism on Yachty, you know, him saying he listened to Reasonable Doubt this past year. I don't like this because I love Concrete Boys or Lil Yachty's music. I can admittedly say I don't listen to it, but I just think knowing that Yachty has an appreciation for that era of sneakers, I think it's cool. That's just the shoe itself, right?
Yeah.
Just like outside of everything that happened, I like the shoe, right? So maybe in my head I was like, oh, maybe it doesn't deserve to be crapped on, but also at the same point, it's like Bima's more than welcome to say whatever you want on the internet, as anyone's welcome to say whatever they want on the internet. As someone, I guess myself, it's like I've had people like talk shit to me on the internet a lot, and sometimes I do get upset about it, but I try to like hold it in. So I maybe understood a little bit just getting upset about people talking about you on the internet, but then I also realized too at the same point where I'm like, hey, you just went a little too far with that, where you could have just been like, man, screw you, I don't do whatever, and then just left it at that. It would have been totally fine, and I think it still would have got the same point across, right?
I think none of us expected it to go that far.
Definitely.
And I also think if you look, I was like trying to get you to chime in. I was trying to get you
we
to
were
chime
trying
in.
to cut him off, and we were trying to reel the conversation in.
He also felt super passionate, like you alluded to. Yachty's sneaker history should not be tested, which I don't really think Bima was.
No, I don't think
But like
so.
Yachty's cachet in sneakers is well documented.
You can't say he's not a person who doesn't appreciate sneakers or hasn't spent a lot of time researching and chasing after shoes like the rest of us.
Yeah.
I'll reiterate, I think it was an unfair response. It's interesting because kind of like Welty, I do feel like I've been on both sides of this equation. I've been not in the same position, but I know what it's like where Yachty feels like there's some random person who doesn't know you who's talking about your work online. You know, if you
or
open
someone
up
who does know you and is talking about you.
Yeah, if you open up social media at any given point, you can see a bunch of people making up conspiracy theories about our work, about Complex, people who have no sources or no facts to base these things on. And you know, you get frustrated if those narratives take root without actually being based in fact. So I get that. And then the interesting thing is I've also been on Bima's side, and I relate more to Bima's side of being a person who makes work for the internet that's critical of footwear specifically. And even it's not the same exact situation, but as recently as last year, Welty and I were in the crowd kind of being heckled by the people on stage because they disagreed with our picks, and we didn't have a microphone or any way to respond. So I get that. But I do think that the extent that Yachty took it to was unjustified and uncalled for, even though Bima was trying to create a valid criticism of the shoe. But he did throw some shots in there. You know, he makes the joke about, he thinks Wu-Tang is a hot sauce or something like that, which is not about the shoe. So I can see little pieces of that, but my general reaction to it was like, this is way too far. This is unfair to Bima, a guy whose resume I believe in. And also just how long it went on, kind of where like, you know, the general consensus
I feel like
is
the
that
length of it was
crashed
like
out. Yeah.
Being up there on stage, it's always like hindsight is 2020, where it's like, hey, people are like, oh, you know, you should have stepped in and just stopped it, you know.
Well,
but
we
it
were
was
trying
like,
to.
I know, but
we
it
were
was
trying
like
stage. He's a mutual friend.
You said that multiple
times.
Yeah. And I don't want to drag this on too long because I don't want this to be a big thing that we turn into a thing, but I just want to be clear on where I stand on it. I did say this on stage. I do believe if you say something online, there may be consequences in real life. And I think that's an okay thing to hold people accountable to, but not to this extent. And then again, just to reiterate what I said on stage, Bima's not a random hater. He's a person with qualifications. And me just being like, you can't say that about our friend, and us trying to stop it, and just like calling somebody like a dick sucker, you know, or like any homophobic languages, like I don't rock with that at all. And like, that's not cool to me on any level. So that was important for me to say on stage. Again, I don't want to make this a huge thing, but like just to you know, show my stance as I did on stage. Anyways, we addressed the spicy stuff. Where else should we go with this? We want to talk about the sneakers we have on feet?
Sure.
Yeah.
Welty, what you got?
Doing the highs and lows. These are the Asics Kayano 20. I think this is the first time I've worn since a kid, worn an all Velcro shoe.
Busy man, don't have time to tie your shoes. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I don't know. There've been Velcro shoes in the past, and I felt some sort of way about them. But
Let me ask you this: how many pairs of highs and lows sneakers do you have, and how many collabs they do in a year? Because I feel like we do a lot of sneaker podcast episodes a year, or previously full size run, and I feel like every other time you have a collab from the store in Australia.
Well, there's them, and then there's Up There store.
I'm probably conflating.
But I think between the two of them is that
I'm mixing them up. Totally fair.
It's totally fine. I just think sometimes you make connections with people out there in the world, and hey, they want to send you the stuff that they did, and it's genuine and authentic, so I appreciate it.
There we go. Joe?
I'm doing the Cortez Huaraches. These came the day I left for ComplexCon, or I probably would have worn for ComplexCon, but...
Would you have worn those on... No, you wouldn't have worn those on the panel.
Not on the panel, but I really like how these... I thought it may have been a tough wear for me. And
you would have been okay doing all the steps in those?
Maybe, but I really like how they look. And just
you keeping the dog tag on?
I'm keeping the dog tag on.
Really? That's how you feel? We're going to war?
Keeping the dog tag on.
Decorated veteran? You know what? I wasn't that excited about this shoe, but I think these look really good on feet, and I think you made them look good, Joe.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Woodwood Asics GT 2160 on my feet. This is a shoe I stepped out to in ComplexCon, but then switched it up right afterward. Maybe I'm just like jumping on the Asics wave right now with these, but I think these look really good. I picked these up in Manila at Riff. Yeah. Yep. Welty, we still need to see you wear what you picked up on that same trip to Riff in the Philippines. I won't spoil it just yet.
Shouts to Riff. We did a live.
They crushed it at.
We did a live sneaker
shopping. Oh, did they?
You didn't go to that booth?
I didn't get to. Where was the Riff booth? Oh, did I miss? Oh,
you'll see it on the live
Jeff,
sneaker shopping.
I'm sorry.
That will come out soon. Riff was awesome. I salute them. Thank you for being so hospitable.
Yeah.
Nellyville Air Force Ones, M&M Air Force
They brought
Ones.
heat.
Damn.
Heat, and awesome vintage Supreme clothes, stuff like that. It felt like I was in a store.
You gotta go to ComplexCon.
Yeah, because I tweeted, kind of like jokingly or whatever, because there was a lot of conspiracies about how ComplexCon was going to be trash this year and people weren't going to get the shoes and yada yada yada. And then I said, I thought ComplexCon was supposed to suck, LOL. And then the people at Riff responded to it saying how much they crushed it this weekend and how it was epic. So
also, I got to give credit to John Geiger.
Why?
I liked his little marketing stuff.
What was it? I didn't see any.
Sneaker of the year.
Oh no! I saw it on social media.
I'm not saying little marketing. I think he took billboards out. He put the Sneaker of the Year. I thought you should believe in yourself like that. And I thought it was
he trying to rile the public up against us? Is that
maybe,
what it was at our expense?
But here's the thing. Here's another combo.
I can't applaud for that.
Really, but here's another combo that I want to have. We just talked about how things went left.
Mm-hmm.
Is it weird to you that I don't get upset with people disagreeing with our sneaker selections?
No, that's normal. That's a normal way to behave.
Like when I tell you, I have no teeth in that people are mad at our sneakers.
Our opinions.
Yes, on sneaker selections. So I never take it as a slight, or even if John used the opportunity, I thought it was, everyone throws her out disruptive. I thought it was pretty cool, and he was disrupting. But I never have Arthur meme
invested
for people disagreeing with our sneaker selections. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe I'm weird about that because
that's healthy behavior.
No,
that's healthy behavior.
I feel like don't give me that much credit.
No, but I feel like. And this is all I want to say on is that I'm totally okay if you disagree with us putting a certain shoe on list. Our list isn't the end-all, be-all Bible of sneakers, right?
Wait, cut that part out. It definitely is.
Okay.
No, leave it in.
Yeah. But, where it's not, this isn't set in stone where, no, these are the only top 10 shoes of the year that can be considered for top 10, and we said it, and you can't have an opinion, and you can't make if everyone who's upset that, either they never got a chance to be on the panel or, that our panel doesn't reflect their views. I'm more than want to see people put out their own lists as well. That to me, that's awesome. There shouldn't only be just one sneaker of the year list. There's not just one greatest albums of all time list. It's Rolling Stone doesn't have a monopoly on that, you know? But the only thing that I guess upsets me a little bit when you talk about, I'm totally okay with people disagreeing with us.
Credibility.
Is when there's trying to put conspiracies that oh, well, you know what? You had gotten sent a pair of New Balance sneakers before, so that's the reason why you put the shoe on the list. Or like, you know what? That Nike's secretly funding Complex, so you have to put all the Nike shoes.
What about the rumor? What about the rumors? Wait, wasn't there a rumor that
There was a rumor
Nike
that
was
Travis,
buying us?
No, yeah, there's a rumor that Nike was going to buy us. There was a rumor that Nike was going to drop Travis Scott.
Time out. Where did that come from?
Twitter.
Why? Over what though?
Just conspiracies. People think they have inside
No,
information.
but what was the basis of the conspiracy that Nike would ever?
Is that Nike basically like a very public thing, right? Where it's like, okay, so Network buys Complex, right? Well, UMG hasn't invested whatever in Network, but it's like people think that Nike has that same, like where Nike owns a part or Nike's the actual investor within Network, which isn't.
It's not.
Which it's not.
The case.
Which isn't the case. So people think that there's like a from the top down, that there's a pressure for us to only cover Nike in a positive light because they own part of our company, which none of that's
stuff
true.
Comes up, not the
That's
ownership.
insane.
I think I did see that Nike, they're going to announce that like Nike owns us this weekend, which I was confused about.
We all of a sudden just pull up our leg and all have Nike swooshes tattooed on the calves.
Yeah, someone's pulling your leg. I'll tell you that for sure.
But yeah, that it doesn't bother me. And the other thing, talking about the crowd engagement again, when we would announce the shoes, I did love waiting.
Yeah.
I loved waiting for the reaction.
That's what I like about the panel so much.
Yes, I loved waiting for the reaction. And one that got a real big reaction was the Nigel, where we put it. The Nigel 4. Like that seemed like it was. And the other thing is the Sneaky Leak podcast when they said that when we did Travis Astillo, did Travis pay us?
Did Travis pay for this ad?
And
No.
we talked
wish
about
people
that. We
paid
saw
me to
them in the
talk
lobby
about
and
their
they
shoes.
like
I wish people say that all the time. I'm like, man, I wish sneaker brands paid me to talk about their stuff. It's like, man, I've been doing it free for the past 12 years.
Yeah. But
and hey, the other thing that happened at ComplexCon where
this better not be spicy. Let's just have
we're having fun here. The other thing that happened at ComplexCon where we had a little fun with the people was the potential full size run bring back.
I mean, you should be careful. Like, are you like trying to do it?
Well, hey, just sometimes you test the
We
water.
shot a fake cold open as a skit, as a joke on the floor because Welty, Trinidad James, and me, the co-hosts of Full Size Run, were there. Welty, don't let more conspiracy theories emerge. We have no plans right now to bring Full Size Run back.
No, we don't.
You was talking on social media like it was going to happen.
I'm saying, hey, should we bring it back?
I'm asking.
Got over 1,000 likes on Twitter.
You guys know how I felt
like
when
300
you said you were ending
responses to it.
You guys know how I felt.
I'm not ready to bring it back, Welty.
The cool part about it
Did you guys get to keep the jackets?
I didn't know if Trinidad wanted us to keep the jackets or not, so we appeared. We put the jackets on it. I was like, I'm happy to buy it to support it, but I gave him the jacket back.
Okay.
So the one thing that felt good is that we show up and we're going to promote Trinidad's Saucony shoe drop and also
spot built high,
and just make some content for there. And we haven't worked together in almost a year, right?
Damn.
The three of us, right?
In a year,
and we show up and we're like, what do we do? It's a cold open, right? We didn't have any sort of idea plan. Brendan, he had a basketball hoop there that were Trinidad. You could win the shoes in a basketball game. Brendan goes to shoot, and it's an air ball, and then
on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Because that's part of the skit.
Okay.
No.
Yes.
No, beforehand.
Another air
No.
ball that
Before
was not
I'm saying before we shot the skit, you grabbed the basketball, dribbled it, and went to go shoot it and missed it. And then when that happened, instantly the juices just flowed, click, and we're like, that's the idea for the.
And another brilliant skit
just like
was born.
riding a bike. Just like riding a bike, right?
Another Emmy on the way.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the Black Cement Jordan 3s. Can we talk about this? I know this whole thing sounds like one big ComplexCon ad, but like, can we get out of ComplexCon for a second?
Not an ad, just a recap. Yeah, of course.
Well, we got to do an ad for it because Nike paid us to talk about the Black Cement 3s.
I have the upcoming Black Cement Jordan 3s here.
Okay.
These come out this weekend. I also have the last pair. This was 2018. Welty, am I right?
Yep.
2018, last time the Black Cement Air Jordan 3s came out. I feel like in any given year, the Black Cement Jordan 3 with Nike Air on the back should be a gigantic shoe, an automatic top 5 sneaker of the year. Do we feel like it's going to be that this year? Do people care that much?
I think so.
I think I said on the panel was that because we had the Bread Reimagines there, and obviously that's a huge shoe. But if the Black Cement 3s had come out already, I would have been okay with taking the Bread Reimagines completely off the list and just replacing it with that shoe.
Well, I'm glad we're doing this because I posted before I went. I posted that I got the Black Cement 3s. You wouldn't know how many people, to answer your question, like what's the quality? How did it compare? So I think people really, really care.
Well, there was also kind of a whole fiasco too with the White Cement 3s.
Right.
When they came out in the cement print quality on those. So,
but I don't know, because even being at ComplexCon this weekend, sorry I took us back there, but I feel like I didn't see that many of the Jordan retros that feel like the biggest ones. Military Blue 4s, I didn't see many Military Blue 4s.
Some.
Bread Reimagined 4s, I didn't see many. And maybe it's just because the bar is higher at an event like that and you want to wear something more exclusive.
What did you think you saw the most of on feet?
Ooh, that's a tough one. People have asked me that. I really don't know.
Me
Travis Scott, probably Travis Scott, Nikes in general, not a paid ad. Should we get to these Jordan 3s?
Yeah, let's see
them.
Okay. Let's see. I'm actually interested in myself this week.
So we have here. Joe, do you know if I show you both shoes, have you looked close enough to where you would know the difference?
No, I can try.
So I'm going to show you both, and I want you to tell me which one you like better. Welty's eyeing them closely. He knows. So here's one pair or one shoe. You don't have to look away.
It's funny because a friend of mine in our group chat got both pairs, and he took a side-by-side picture this morning and sent it. Yeah. And in his mind, he thought that these, and some of my other friends thought that those were, the old ones were way better.
Yeah.
And
did you just give it away?
No.
Okay, so here's one thing. I don't even know if this is a thing.
Do you know which is the new and which is the old?
I'm not going to lie to the people. Yeah. This is clearly the old one because the tag is yellowing.
Yeah.
I will say right off the bat, this is tumbled leather, yes?
Bit more tumbled than the new pair.
I like tumbled more.
You like the 2018 pair better than the 2024 pair?
I like the tumbled leather right now looking at these better, but...
Welty, do you want a shoe of each?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
No, he can take mine. I prefer tumbled leather. That's my first observation.
Gut reaction, yeah.
The thing that I noticed with the shoes, so this morning when I had seen it, and maybe I don't know if it looked like he hadn't worn them that much, but when he was a side by side shot like this, I know this is normally basketball retro fans. I feel like don't really have this conversation as much, whereas fans of retro running shoes are constantly complaining about the shape of a toe box, where I feel like Jordan retro is not really as much. It's not really as harped on.
Still a thing, but I know what you mean.
But retro running fans are that's a huge
sticking point.
Huge sticking point. And I feel like this one has a little bit more of that elf toe, even though it's a flatter shoe.
That's the older pair. That's the 2018 pair you're saying?
This one felt a little more
sharper toe box.
Yeah, and I like that.
Yeah.
Overall, I feel like shape always matters. But
So you like the new one?
It just feels, I don't know. This one, the thing to me is that this one,
the 2024
pair, sorry, it's a lot more subtle in every single way than this pair.
Yeah.
And we don't have an OG pair here, but this feels like, so if you're going to edit your photos, right, and you took the original 1988 Air Jordan 3 and then you turn the saturation and sharpness up in every single aspect.
Really?
I feel like that's what this would have came out as. The cement print is so big, bright, and loud.
For the
2018 version,
yeah,
the cement print is almost
way more contrasty.
The tumbled leather is almost... It's
Too
made
tumbled?
that way to look extra tumbled.
Okay.
Where it
That's
feels
fair.
like this one actually just has a soft leather on it.
Yeah.
The cement print is just cement print. And I feel like this one is the way the shoe's supposed to look. And this is supposed to look like an Instagram filtered version of an Air Jordan 3.
So you're going with the 2024 black cement Air Jordan 3 over the 2018.
Although I will agree that people probably will like this shoe more. The 2018 version... This will look better on your foot because it's made to contrast more and stick out more. But
interesting.
2024 version looks much more like a natural.
Can you throw them to me? I actually haven't looked at them.
I thought you were gonna wear.
What?
I thought you were gonna wear them this weekend.
No, I decided not to. Yeah, it's funny because to me, the biggest difference on the two shoes is the elephant print,
Mhm.
right?
1,000%.
The elephant print on the 2018 is way darker, like Welty's saying, at least on these ones that I have, and the 2024 is a lot less contrasty. And I like 2018 more, but I don't know which one is actually closer to the original. I'm not that much of a Jordan geek to really know. I did ask some guys which one they prefer, but to me, it's the thing like the big bubble Nike Air Max 1, the Air Max 86 as they're calling it, where like it's cool that they recreated an original as close as they could to this first sample version with the bigger bubble that people wanted for a long time. But then when you've been trained to like the regular retro that doesn't look like that, then the quote unquote truer to original version looks weird to you. And I feel like that's kind of the thing that's happening to me with these.
That's what happened before, not to diverge from this conversation, but just to compare it to. So it's one of my favorite shoes of all time, the Aqua ZX 8000. There was a version of that shoe I believe came out in 2009, and the color on the shoe is super bright. It looks completely different than the original, but a lot of fans love that shoe because they love the way that 2009 retro looks, even though it doesn't look anything like the OG.
Yeah, you get caught up in the version of it from 1 year, and that gets impressive.
And then
they
re-released the shoe, I believe, in 2019, true to the OG, and people are like, no, but it doesn't look like the retro. And it's like, yeah, but the retro didn't look like the original.
Yeah. I asked a couple people, like I said, because things like this where I love Black Cement 3s and I've owned a bunch of pairs, but I know that there are people who are way more into it than me. So I asked Marvin Barrios, MJO23 Dan, and he was like, he said, it seems like the brand is moving toward a positive direction to give collectors like myself what they've been asking for. He said, for this colorway, the only detail I would change would be the color of the elephant print leather, something which more closely resembles what MJ wore on court. He said the shoes look good and he can't wait to have a pair. And then Sean Collard, another guy who's been into Jordan since the 80s. And it's important to get these people's perspective. Not that they can totally remember exactly what the shoe looked like when they got it back then, but they've been here for decades. And he said he's more of a big picture guy. He said he did wish the gray was a shade darker, but the overall shoe, shape, cut, height of the elephant print around the panel is so good that it outweighs the shade of the gray. So from a couple people, they're saying the shade of the gray does not feel quite right.
Got it.
Also, even just from here, I'm looking at it right now. When I said the 2018 version looks more exaggerated, you can even see it on the tongue. Like, doesn't that that tongue just
infrared-y?
No, but there's like it just pops.
The 2024 pair.
The 2018 pair, just the tongue pops out way more.
That's
not even just the color of the Jumpman, but like the lining of the shoe and everything. Even the tongue itself is just sticking out.
Also, for what it's worth, the guy Sean Collard, he said the lines in the elephant print on the 2024 pair are lighter and more subtle, which he says is closer to 1988. So again, Welty, this contrasty thing you're talking about on 2018 is, as this one Jordan collector who's been doing it for decades is saying, is not as accurate.
And I definitely prefer more subtle cement print.
So you like the 2024 then?
I'm in the middle because I like the tumbled leather of 2018, but I do like the less pronounced cement print of 2024, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, not even being there, just looking at that shoe, it just looks like how Nike, the 2024 pair.
Yeah.
That just looks like how Nike would have made it back then.
I know what you mean.
I can't imagine them making a shoe in the 80s that has that bright of a cement print on it.
Yeah. I want to talk about another big Jordan retro. Do we feel like the Columbia Air Jordan 11 is going to be huge? Legend Blue Air Jordan 11.
I love that shoe. I love that shoe.
Fab got one for his birthday. Shouts to Fab.
Early pair? The 2024 pair?
Unboxed them last night.
And it's funny, and I think we've talked about it here before, though, is one of the things I love about that shoe the most is that the OG pairs or like the early retros or whatever, the yellowing on them makes
you like that.
Yeah, it looks awesome, but
Can you imagine me in a pair of Columbia 11s?
No.
That has to be the furthest thing that I could wear right now.
Did you ever want a Columbia Jordan 11, or it's just the classic JLP thing of white shoe?
Around the time of Columbia Jordan 11s, I went white and red Jordan 11 low and
circa 2000,
cool
2001, the retros.
Those were eBay freshman year of UConn's or senior year of high school. I didn't go Columbia 11. I went the lows, white and red, and cool grays.
I'd be happy if Welty and me popped out in Columbia 11s.
It just felt like, I remember early on in Nike Talk days, like I kind of wanted to try to track down a pair, but it was really hard to get like older Jordans at that point. And I just felt like at that moment, especially because like DMP pack had come out recently, and they hadn't done the Jordan pack with the bread 11s yet, but
the CDPs.
Yeah, CDPs. Sorry, and it just felt like in sneakers that not that they're not the classics, but you always saw Concord, Space Jam, and bread, where like there was kind of like a saturation of those models with collectors, and it just felt like it's not that the Columbia is like this oddball looking weird shoe, you know, but it just felt like
different tier, second tier of Jordan 11s.
Definitely, and even maybe even below cool grays, right, to the average collector.
Ooh, Columbia's below cool grays.
I don't
Are you
think
okay?
so.
You put Columbia's over cool grays?
I think in the grand scheme of ranking, but I obviously
Maybe
love the cool grays way better.
Maybe shoe collectors might put Columbia over because it's
original. You always got to give more
Columbia was
credit to the
was an
original.
all-star. Right?
Yeah, that was the one with the San Antonio jerseys.
and those the jersey
classic,
the
96,
maybe the best jersey. Yes,
but I would say if you were to do a man on the street thing and just ask people who who just wear Jordans who aren't maybe diehard sneaker nerds, cool grays would.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
I think the cool gray is more beloved than the Columbia Air Jordan 11, despite the Columbia being.
And also the cool grays retroed earlier in that early Air Jordan
retro era.
There was a time.
The 11s when they started bringing back the 11s every year. The cool grays came out earlier, and that was like most people remember the cool gray 11s from that moment, not from.
Here's what I would say: there was a time, an era in my life, what I was just talking about, where the cool gray 11 was definitely my favorite shoe of all time.
Really?
Yes.
Like when Michael Finley was getting buckets at him.
That was the cool gray 11s around, early 2000s, late 90s. That it was. I put it above the Jordans I love now.
I'm surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
And do you have the shoes here or no?
No. We
don't. I
no,
thought
no.
for some reason.
Oh, I'm like pulling stuff out of my hat, and now
I love the.
I was waiting for the reveal
for the
and then
Columbia
I even
11s.
remember when the cool gray 9s dropped. Totally different shoe, but I was like, cool gray, any cool gray colorway.
All of 9s dropped. Are you jumping on that?
No, I wore those like a year and a half ago.
You don't need them now?
No.
Spray paint them? Custom colorway?
So
custom paint job?
We got to shout Goodburger out.
Always.
I have to, because he apparently LeBron did a photo shoot in dyed Jordan olives that he made all black. I've never seen that photo. You guys know that I feel like I've seen a ton of photos that are in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Never saw that photo Goodburger posted.
Big up, Caleb.
I'd be screenshotting them just so I remember. But yeah, the Jordan.
I just didn't know that was that common of a thing of like changing the color on your olive Jordan 9s.
Man, did I flex on Rudy from Yao Ming?
Yes,
when I walked in,
we know.
I had the whole dorm room smelling like
smelling like the layup at
yes.
the 6th train or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to admit though that I was disappointed. What was it? 2014?
You know the years better than me.
2014 when the Columbia's
Legend
Blues.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Columbia Legend Blue. That's what I'm about to say, is I always, in my mind, we all think of that as the Columbia Jordan 11, right? And there was no real change to the Legend Blues, although it had that like era of like where the midsole was made that like bluish,
icy blue, anti-yellowing.
Yeah. But I don't know. I remember when they dropped all the original Air Jordan 11s, and they were all called by the original name still, although the box didn't say Space Jam Jordan 11 on it. Everyone called them the Space Jam. But the first time they were like, no, they're the Legend Blue Jordan 11s. I just felt like part of me was like,
the name doesn't matter. Do you really? I mean,
doesn't, but it was just like, it was a little just disappointing that it's like, wait, why did you change it? You know?
We've had this conversation on here before, I think, but remind me, are you in the camp of caring about somebody calling it a bread Jordan 4 or a bread Jordan 11?
So I always thought it was funny because I remember when I first started doing sneaker stuff, like at Complex, it was Russ and Nick Engvall, and them being even more OG than the stuff that I had done in sneakers before, that they were like anti-bread.
Yeah.
They thought it was like the worst thing ever. We're never going to
use that term.
Yes. So I was told early on that you can't use the term.
They were going to edit it out of every piece.
Not that I felt strongly anyway, but I was just taught from them not to use the word bread, and I think Russ was like 10 signs you're a newbie sneakerhead.
Oh.
It's
I
like,
hate that. That's too gatekeeping. That's too prescriptive
I
linguistics.
feel
We're
like I
not.
still use bread.
Yeah, we're not on that.
that bread didn't matter to me, but I just like calling the shoes.
Yeah.
If I get a chance to,
Yeah.
in print or text or whatever you want to
Mhm.
call it, I like to call the shoes by their names. That's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember if anybody's ever gotten to the bottom of this, and maybe somebody will mention in the comments. But the Columbia thing for the Jordan 11s, I always assumed it was because of Columbia Sportswear, that makes the jackets and stuff, which is also based in Portland. And maybe there was some.
I thought it was
worry
because
about that.
always thought it was because of Columbia University.
Oh, I don't know.
'Cause I thought that's where the blue came from.
I don't know.
Because
Off
it's
the
the
top
same.
of my head.
It's the same color as the sports.
Well, I mean, I always assumed it was the mouth of the Columbia River right there in Oregon. That's where I was born.
Yeah.
So one of the
That
first
checks
things that
out.
was ever
Checks out.
in my memories, that beautiful blue where the river yawns into the sea.
Kind of like almost like your sweater you have on.
Yeah,
today.
I'll teach you about some Oregonian stuff if you need. Hey, can I get into a pair of shoes that I really love, or a pack of shoes that I
Yeah.
really love? The Nike Ekiden Racing Pack. These
you're
flame
big on this.
broiled. This is so exciting to me. Welty, do you like these at all?
Doesn't really matter to me much, but
Based on the Nike Zoom Streak Spectrum Plus from 2002 that Steven Smith designed.
if you want to learn all about it, you can go read the story where I interviewed Stephen Smith about designing that shoe.
Shouts to Steven Smith.
Yep.
New role.
Yes.
Crocs.
Got hired at Crocs. Are we already
Yes.
done talking about the shoes that I liked?
No, go ahead. They're cool. I saw 'em.
I just think it's cool after Supreme did the retro of the shoe around 2018.
Mhm.
This is a performance footwear. I'm always trying to advocate, even though it's a little hypocritical because I wear a lot of retros, but I'm always trying to advocate for new shoes. So this is a 4-pack, Alpha Fly 3, Rival Fly 4, Vapor Fly 3, Zoom Fly 6, all with the flame details. It's designed by a guy named Katsunobu Asayama. He's a APLA Global Express Lane footwear designer at Nike and Beaverton. I just like these shoes because they are forward-looking and they're for something. This is the Ekiden races in Japan, but also they look to Nike's DNA. Shout out to Robbie, just enough. And it's a cool midpoint for that. Very Guy Fieri core. I will be wearing these one way or another. They release, let me look at my notes, November 22 in Japan if we want to pop out to there.
Okay.
Scoop a pair, or globally select retailers December 4th. It matters to me.
How cool is having Guy Fieri on sneaker shopping?
Also, I think it's funny you say that. I think about that all the time. I talk about the
Happened.
surprise and delight moments for sneaker shopping. We always try to do that. That's why,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, even as early as 2 weeks ago, we had Tom Hardy on the show, and
Yeah.
keep them guessing. Keep them guessing with the guests.
Yeah.
Do you have another spicy one coming
But
up
we
that
got-
nobody's
No,
expecting?
Guy Fieri is. I love that episode. It was in Miami. It's one that I always think of like.
You heard how he pronounced it?
That's
how
how
you're
you
supposed to
pronounce
pronounce
it.
I know. I
Put
just
some sauce on it. No pun intended. But I always look at that like I'll look back at that one and be like, so happy I did that one.
I will look back
How
at these
cool-
shoes and be like, I'm so happy.
How
I have
cool is he
those.
in person?
He is the coolest. Very, very cool. He was with his son. He actually.
When did this happen? I don't remember this at
It was
all.
in my, I don't know,
It's like
6.
2016, 2017.
No,
Yeah.
I think for maybe 2018, but there was a food and wine festival in Miami. He invited all of us. Could have Dave Matthews pull up in the Atlanta Braves hat to the food and wine festival
Oh,
in Miami. Maybe.
Banned for life.
Maybe, but
Banned for
I
life
love
like
that.
Mad
I
Joy.
love that episode. It's one that I'm like, I always try to do sneaker shopping in pop culture. Guy Fieri is definitely one where I put it in.
What did he buy?
he
Had the Supreme Zoom Streak Spectrums come out already? The pairs with the flames on them.
I think I asked him about those.
You gotta.
I think he bought. I think he loved NMDs. The thing that he did the joke of like, hold on though, you're wearing Nikes. Your name's La Puma. What's what gives?
classic.
But
Sounds
love
like
that
Absolute
episode.
classic.
Before we go though,
Hmm,
which celebrity in the building got off maybe the rarest sneakers? WWE.
At ComplexCon or wait?
Rey Mysterio in the Louis
Oh.
Vuitton Air Force Ones.
I'm saying that you should have him on sneaker shopping.
Listen, Rey Mysterio, Liv, and Dominic maybe.
Look to him.
Mysterio?
Don't look to me. I don't know who these
Yeah,
people
for
are.
sure.
I know who Liv is.
Live
sorry.
and the year's not over yet. We'll see. Keep them guessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Feel like we recapped.
As much as we possibly could.
Feel like this week's gonna be a drag. I feel like we're running off fumes right now and like
Mhm.
adrenaline. But
Thanksgiving next week.
is it next week?
Yeah. What do you? No. Wait.
Yes, it is.
No, it's the week after next week, right? Or is Is Thanksgiving next week?
Thanksgiving's next week.
What's the plan? What are we doing?
Bayshore. I'll be in Bayshore.
You guys don't want to come over? We're doing turkey at my crib.
Thanksgiving? Are you a Friendsgiving?
My family's not really in one place or very. It's
Wait.
complicated, so we always do Thanksgiving in New York.
You're cooking?
No.
Wifey?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a specialty?
I mean, it's just traditional stuff.
Okay. I'm
So-
not into
okay,
turkey.
meaning you'll be there?
I'm not into turkey. I won't be there, but maybe save a plate. If I know her, she'll save a plate for your boy. But I'm not into turkey, man.
Welty?
I'm going to see my parents.
Yeah, but are you into turkey?
That's okay. My
I
dad
love
always
that.
cooks it he always smokes it on a Weber grill. And
Oh,
it's pretty good.
that seems good. My
Yep.
brother-in-law does a really good job. I'm into ham with spicy mustard.
I love that we spend more time talking turkey than the actual Ekiden shoes that I'm into.
Listen, we talk about a lot of stuff. All right, everyone. This has been the Complex Sneaker Show. We hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
Please like, subscribe, comment. Let us know where the Columbia colorway stems from. Go binge past episodes, and we will see you to talk about the year-end list in a few weeks.